Hi friends, thanks for joining me, stopping by the channel. I hope that you will take a moment to like and subscribe. What I really have here is not a show and tell of my 1860 Army, although I will have another video coming up on this later, maybe sooner, depending on when this particular video gets finished with the project that I have. It occurred to me that every time I go out to my shooting range here, I always have to make multiple trips back to the house, whether it's to get, I don't know, maybe another powder measure, maybe some more powder, maybe some more wads. Because I do my shooting on my property, I've never really had the need to make a shooting box, but the more shooting that I find myself doing now, the more cumbersome it gets to be walking back and forth. So I thought about making a carry-all pouch so that I could carry everything that I need just in one trip. What I came up with is this. And since I have a lot of leather, since I do a lot of leather working in other projects for Lane Beaver Trading Company, I had plenty of material. So what I thought about, what I did actually, is I came up with this. Okay, I have a pouch for my wad starters, my tin I kept right here, capper, if I need to push the caps a little tighter onto the cones. I made a hammer, my lathe, to drive the wedge out. If it doesn't go all the way out, I can push it through with this. And the cone remover, which I made from a socket with a 1/4 inch piece of soft stock. And I'm going to leave this loose in case I need to put a ratchet on this. I'll have that option. Then I have my various powder measures right here, and then a pouch for my pre-lubed wads. And this is where I ran into an afterthought. It's like, why did I do it like that? I should have done it differently. What I'm thinking is, instead of carrying these loose in bags, I thought about carrying them in an Altoids can. Now obviously many of us do the paper cartridges, and these are very convenient for carrying in the field. I have a pouch that I carry 2 of these tins with my paper cartridges. The thing is on the shooting range, this little tin is not going to hold enough wads for my purposes. And obviously the Altoids tin fits in there very nicely. But because of the way I sewed this together, 2 Altoid cans, one on top of the other, is not going to fit because I don't have enough leather here to accommodate the thickness. And like I said, this is an afterthought. So, years ago, I had a friend tinsmith me one of these little reflective candle holders, and this is period for the Civil War. Apparently, I'm sure that during the Revolutionary War something like this was also fashioned. Now, that being said, my idea was to use this to hold my wads in. Well, as you can see, it's a little bit too big. The height is going to be okay. Now, over the years, I've learned to do some tinsmithing, and I've actually made these a little bit larger than this size here, and all intents and purposes as a fire starting kit. But it's obviously too big. So my next option is to do this, is to get some tin. I actually have a couple of these in my shed that I've had for a long time, because the price of this right now from Hobby Lobby is actually double. They're about 20 bucks. And even though the tin looks cool, I happened to be rummaging a little bit more in my shop, and I came across some copper tin that I had left over from previous projects. So I'm going to make the box that I need out of this copper. And obviously it's been sitting around for a while and it's got stains and probably some mouse pee on it, but either way it's going to work. Since I already have the pattern made out for these 10 boxes, all I need to do is to reduce this size to a size that I know is going to work. So I hope that you will continue to follow the video as this project comes alive and fulfills the desired achievement. Being able to make a box small enough to fit into the pouch, but yet be adequate enough to hold multiple felt wads. The remainder of this is probably going to be done in silence because there's really not a whole lot of talking involved. I have the patterns here. I'm going to tape up the copper and then transfer the pattern onto the copper, onto the tape. So I hope that you will follow along with this journey as I endeavor to make a smaller version of this box so that when I go out to my shooting range, I can carry everything I need in one convenient, handy pouch. Okay, I don't know how well the camera is going to be able to pick up the drawing, but I was successfully in reducing the entire pattern by 10 millimeters. Okay, it's a bit breezy today, so I'm going to try to be quick with this. I'm going to do all of my edge folding first, that 5 millimeter space. When it comes to a mandrel, you don't really need to have a tinner's vise or anything like that. Anything that you can see laying around that'll work as a mandrel, something to give you the shape you want, will work out just fine. Even on occasion, I've even used I-beam steel. Whatever you can find is fine. Once you get your lines laid out to where you want to start your bend, I like to take and secure the piece. On occasion, in the past, I've tried to hold everything with my hand and it'll tweak and move just ever so slightly and then my lines don't come out straight. So I like to secure my piece. I've already double checked where I want my bend to be. And the thing about this is you don't want to take it all at once. Just work at it a little bit. Go back and forth. Here comes that breeze. Okay, right now that bend looks pretty good. Now on to the next step. Bending it all the way back. This is where I'll use a hammer. Once again, don't take it all at once. You want to work it back and forth. As you can see, it creates a fairly decent line. I might go just a little bit more now that I look at the top of it. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to shut the camera off and get everything bent that I need to bend, and then I'll meet you with the next step of the operation. Okay, here's the last edge. You want to remember when you're doing this that even though it may not look straight across here, your measurements actually came off of your inside line right here. So if you're looking at this and it doesn't look perfectly straight, well, don't misjudge this line, your bending mark, with this edge up here, because this is never going to be true because of cutting it out by hand. So this is the last edge for the lid. Now double check my edges. I'm off just a hair. I was off a hair in this one too, but hey, this is the beauty of handmade. Okay, now I'm going to create my next bends, which will be the lip of the lid. So let me get set up here, and it's just basically the same thing. Okay, as you can see, I've got my straight edge, and the technique is just the same. You're going to be folding this over, which is going to be the lip of the lid. Now with this particular design, this is not waterproof because of these corners right here. And I didn't really design this to be waterproof. If you want a container that's waterproof, then you'll just have to, cut out a pattern and, envision it sitting over the top of the container and looking to see if it's waterproof. See, right now I'm directing all my blows right at the bending point on that line. Okay, now that I have this edge done, I'm going to have to do this short edge next because I need to accommodate this lip that's already bent. Now I'm going to just go ahead and hold it by hand and make this bend. Okay, that's going to be good for now because I'll be able to bend a little of this by hand once I get the box made, and then I can get a much better fit. So now I need to try to find a way to accommodate the two folded lips while still allowing myself to bend this. And that's where the trusty I-beam comes into play. So let me get reset up here, and we'll continue on. Okay, as you can see, I like to have different items available to be able to do this project. And this is where the I-beam really comes in handy. So once again, I have it stabilized. I'm going to just hold this by hand and do the same thing. Just work the edge down, back and forth. Okay, as you can see, my fold is not coming onto the line like I am hoping or wishing for. So I'm going to find something else that's just a hair bit narrower and use that as a mandrel. Well, as you can see, my next option was a block of wood. It's going to suit my purposes just fine. Okay, straightened out that line, good enough. Okay, as you can tell, I found a block of wood that's going to serve my purpose of being able to create this angle. So once again, whoops. Okay, I've created the lid. Now, as I mentioned earlier, since I went ahead and rolled these edges to the inside here, I want to keep in mind that as I roll the edges to this, what is going to be the box, I want these to the outside. So what that's going to require is making sure that I bend these edges down and then make sure that I bend this end back up. So that's what I'm going to work right here to accomplish. And when I get it all done, I'll meet you back here again. Okay, I had to go to another block of wood to get to that final bend. Okay, well, that looks like it's going to turn out. Okay, as you can tell, I've made the bends. I need to finish bringing these over. And some of you may notice that this edge right here is a little longer than this edge right here. Well, that's because when I make these boxes with a rolled edge where I put the brass rod for the hinge, that's why this edge is a little bit longer. At this point, it's really not going to matter. So I'm going to go ahead and fold these on over, and we'll see what it looks like before we start folding the edges to make the box. Since these are going to be rolled to the outside, I made sure that these edges were as flat as I could possibly get them. For me, that's good enough because it's handmade, and I want it to be that handmade look. So what I'm going to do now, knowing that I have to bend this part of the portion to the outside, I'm going to turn it the other way. Now, I don't need to have a straight line because my straight lines are going to be from this point to that point. And I'm going to bend it down, which will create, this will become the inside of the box, and this will be the outside. So let me get that accomplished, and I'll see you here in just a few minutes. Okay, I decided to pause here for a moment because I realized I'm getting ahead of myself. So what I'm going to do is show you why. These little tabs right here, these are going to be my soldering tabs. So I want these bent to the inside of the box. So I'm just going to get a pair of pliers. These don't have to necessarily be straight at this point. Once the box is folded into the square, then you can take your pliers or whatever and actually straighten those out to the inside. So let me run over and get a pair of pliers, and I will take care of that right now. Okay, just so that you're aware, again, I don't bend them all at once. I just take a little bit at a time, and I kind of bend them to where I know they're going to be on the inside once this is folded up. And I do have a straight line from here to here, so you kind of know where your bend needs to be. Now, as you can tell, I'm getting a pretty good edge right here. Well, that's because I'm actually bending it over this edge right here on the pliers. And there again, that's why I recommend go slow, take your time, and your finished product should look pretty good. Okay, all my tabs are out of the way, so now I'm going to complete bending these pieces to the inside. Okay, so for the final bend I had to switch to a C-clamp. My other clamps that I were using would not allow me to clamp this together without hitting this edge or that edge, so I decided to go to a different clamp. Had to cut another smaller block so that it would fit inside but still give me a straight edge down here. So let's get that accomplished. Once again, starting to bulge on top, so I'll just take and flatten that down. Okay, I think that's going to work very well. Okay, so the next process of the step is to solder these together so that the box will maintain its shape. So let me go get all my soldering stuff and we'll see if we can't get that accomplished. Yes, that corner right here is properly fluxed. You want to make sure you have a lot of flux. Now, some of you might be wondering, is going to use a blowtorch? Yes. And just so you know, I do have a heavy-duty soldering iron. I don't think this is going to work just simply because this will have to be heated up almost to the same temperature. So I think this is going to be too slow, and yes, I know the torch is going to discolor it, but hey, it is what it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to direct the heat from the bottom so that I will touch the top with the solder, and it should flow down and create a really good, strong seal. Okay, as you can see, I'm on the last joint and having a little tough time getting everything to line up and be able to hold everything up at an angle so that I could do the soldering. And yeah, that's what I need to do, is knock it down, right? So let me get this last one soldered up here and we'll let it cool down and see what we got. Alright, it looks like the solder flowed, and as I mentioned, it's probably going to be against my better judgment, because now what I'm going to end up having to do is to really clean up this outside edge with all that solder. It can be done, and it will be done. So I'm going to let that cool for a little bit, and then we'll see what she's going to look like when I try to put the lid on. Alright, I guess it's time to find out if this is going to suit my purposes. Nothing like a good hot cup of coffee on a snowy winter's day. Fortunately, I got my project done yesterday. That is the box as it stands right now. Before we open up the pouch and see if it's going to fit where it was supposed to be designed to fit, I have just an afterthought or two if you're going to make a box such as this. I don't want to say that it was a mistake I made, but this is just an afterthought. I made the lid first, then I made the box. All of the soldering came out very good. The only one I did not clean up was this little bunch of solder right here, but no one's ever going to see it, and it doesn't bother me. The afterthought is this. If you look at this box, all of the edges on the lid are to the outside. The mistake that I made is, once again, I made the lid first and then I made the box, and when I went to go fit the lid over the box, I did not allow enough of the roll to accommodate. So if I was to put this lip to the outside of the box, you can clearly see right here it goes to the inside of the box. What I should have done in retrospect is, when making the lid, if you choose to make the lid first, leave one of these outside lips down and flat. Once you get the box made, then you can fit the box onto the lid with the lap still flat, and then you can fit or figure out where you need your roll to be. With that being said, this is going to suit my purposes, I think, just as well if it fits, because having done that, I don't know how well the camera can pick it up, but if I line up these two edges right here, you can kind of see how much more shorter or narrower these two boxes are. So I'm hoping that that's still going to fit in the desired slot. So with that being said, any other boxes that I choose to make, I'm going to have to remember to leave the one edge down, put the box inside the three edges, and then figure out where my fold needs to be. Now, I could have very easily flattened one of these two edges back out and then do exactly as I described and figure out where I wanted the new edge to be, but I'm not going to do that because I think this is going to suit my purposes just fine. To answer a question before I get it, the answer is going to be no. And what am I saying no to? Well, if it does not fit into the pouch, I carry this as my fire starting pouch. I keep all my fire starting equipment in here. Flint and steel, extra char, things like that. And as you can see, it's going to fit inside the pouch just nicely. So no, it's not going to be for sale if it don't fit. Alright, here's the moment of truth, I guess. I'll turn it so that the pointing towards the camera. remove my wads out of that pouch for now. Okay, I'm gonna snap it there. All right, let's see if this is gonna work. A little tight, but look at that, guys. Fits perfect. So that's going to be the container that I'm going to keep all my wads in. Yeah, I know the packages of wads right now look like they're oversized, but I have, you know, a couple hundred of them in here. So obviously I don't need that many wads for a day of shooting out at my shooting range. So anyhow, I'm tickled pink that it turned out the way it did, even though I had to fold the outer lips of the lid to the inside. Even by doing that, you can see they're going to stay on, and it still looks presentable, even done that way. So thanks for watching. I hope you will like and subscribe. In fact, I would suggest you do subscribe at least, because I have enough material to make 4 of these boxes. It's not the shiny tin, it's the matte tin. And I do plan on making 4 of them, because I think I have enough material to make 4. But I will make them with the detachable lid instead of the hinged lid. Just simply because I don't have the brass to put in to make the hinge portion of it. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're just going to use it for like a fire starting kit or something like that, there's really no real reason to have a hinged lid on it. So if you subscribe to the channel, when I get that project done, I'll do a video specifically showing that those tin boxes are done and where you can go and purchase them. So thanks for watching, and I hope everybody can learn something about tinsmithing from this particular video. And it's not something that's particularly hard. You just have to give it a little bit of forethought and you know, have the mandrels that you need to do your folds and whatever you need to do. So thanks for watching, and I hope everybody will have a wonderful 2022. Bye.